Look at a crowd in any busy room. Look closely into the eyes of a stranger. Some eyes are rich brown, some are dark hazel. Others carry a striking shade of clear sky blue. You might assume blue eyes are just one of many standard options in human genetics. You might think millions of separate evolutionary moments created them naturally across history. But the real answer is far stranger. Every single person on Earth with blue eyes inherited that color from one single human being, one individual, one specific baby born thousands of years ago near the coast of the Black Sea. Before that baby took its first breath, blue eyes did not exist anywhere on the planet. Zero. How did one tiny genetic glitch in a single prehistoric infant spread across the globe to hundreds of millions of people today? To understand what happened, you have to rewind the clock roughly 10,000 years. Picture the Earth before modern cities. Picture your ancestors hunting, gathering, and surviving in harsh, unpredictable landscapes. In that distant past, human eye color was completely uniform. Every single person walking the planet had brown eyes. Dark, pigment-rich irises were the absolute standard for human survival. Inside the human eye sits a delicate ring of muscle tissue called the iris. Your iris contains specialized cells that produce a dense pigment called melanin, which is the natural chemical darkener that colors your skin, hair, and irises. Think of melanin as a built-in pair of internal sunglasses. It absorbs harsh sunlight. It shields delicate retinal cells from dangerous ultraviolet radiation. For hundreds of thousands of years, high levels of melanin protected your ancestors living near the intense equatorial sun. When light entered a prehistoric human eye, heavy layers of brown melanin absorbed the light rays completely. It was an ancient, reliable biological defense system. So, why did nature suddenly tamper with a system that was working perfectly? For decades, scientists believed eye color was a simple mix-and-match lottery. They thought brown was dominant and blue was recessive. They assumed multiple independent mutations popped up randomly across different continents. Then, in 2008, a genetic researcher named Professor Hans Eiberg at the University of Copenhagen decided to test that assumption. Eiberg and his team gathered genetic samples from blue-eyed individuals all over the world. They tested people from Denmark. They tested people from Jordan. They tested people from Turkey, Spain, and India. If blue eyes had mutated independently in different human populations, the genetic code surrounding the eye color gene would look completely different in every region. Instead, Eiberg discovered something astonishing. Every single blue-eyed person tested shared the exact same sequence of DNA in one precise region of their genome. A single genetic signature. In genetics, this is called a haplotype, which is a specific block of DNA passed down virtually unchanged from parent to child across countless generations. The odds of millions of unrelated people independently developing the exact same long sequence of DNA are practically zero. The conclusion was undeniable. Every blue-eyed human walking the earth today shares one common ancestor, a single family line. How did this one person come to exist? The secret lies inside a specific gene called OCA2. For a long time, researchers thought a mutation directly inside the OCA2 gene caused blue eyes. The OCA2 gene is responsible for manufacturing melanin in your irises, hair, and skin. If you completely turn off the OCA2 gene, your body cannot produce melanin at all, resulting in albinism. But blue-eyed people produce plenty of melanin in their skin and hair. Their bodies still know how to make pigment. So why are their eyes clear blue? Professor Eiberg found that the mutation didn't happen inside the OCA2 gene itself. It happened nearby, in an adjacent gene called HERC2. Think of the HERC2 gene as a light switch mounted on the wall. The OCA2 gene is the light bulb. In dark-eyed humans, the switch is flipped all the way up. The bulb shines bright, flooding the iris with heavy brown melanin. Between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago, an error occurred during DNA replication in a single individual. A single nucleotide, one tiny chemical letter among billions in the genetic code, was altered inside the HERC2 gene. This tiny error didn't break the light switch completely. It simply jammed the switch halfway down. The switch throttled the OCA2 gene, turning down melanin production in the iris specifically. The body still made melanin for the skin and hair, but the iris received only a tiny trickle of pigment. And when light hits an iris with almost no melanin, something extraordinary happens. Blue eyes don't actually contain blue pigment. There is no blue dye inside the human body. Instead, when light enters an iris with low melanin, the light bounces off microscopic fibers inside the tissue. Short blue wavelengths scatter in all directions, while longer red and yellow wavelengths pass right through. This physical phenomenon is called Rayleigh scattering, which is the exact same optical trick that makes the sky look blue on a clear summer day. Your blue eyes are literally an optical illusion caused by scattered sunlight. What did that ancient world look like through the eyes of the very first blue-eyed child? Imagine a small agricultural community near the northwestern coast of the Black Sea around 8,000 years ago. Humans were making a monumental transition. They were shifting away from nomadic hunting and establishing permanent farming settlements. In this small village, a child is born. As the baby grows, its parents notice something unprecedented. Every other human being in their tribe, and every human being on the planet, has deep, dark brown eyes. This child's eyes are clear, pale, and bright as the winter sky. To their tribe, this infant must have looked otherworldly, perhaps supernatural, perhaps terrifying. Yet this child survived to adulthood. They had children of their own, passing down that modified HERK2 genetic switch. Generations passed. The line of blue-eyed humans began to expand outward from the Black Sea region into northern and western Europe. By tracing ancient DNA extracted from prehistoric human skeletons, archaeologists can watch this genetic switch spread in real time. Skeletons from hunter-gatherers living in Europe 7,000 years ago show dark skin combined with that new blue-eye mutation. Later, as early Neolithic farmers migrated across the continent, the mutation spread exponentially. Today, in countries like Estonia and Finland, up to 85% of the population carries this identical genetic switch. Why did a genetic mutation with no physical health benefits spread so rapidly across human populations? In natural selection, features usually spread because they help an organism survive. A sharper tooth helps a predator hunt. Thicker fur protects an animal from extreme cold. Better camouflage hides a prey animal from danger. Blue eyes, however, offer no physical advantage for survival. In fact, from a purely biological standpoint, blue eyes are slightly less efficient in bright environments. With less melanin to block harsh light, blue eyes are more sensitive to glare and suffer slightly higher rates of UV damage. So why didn't natural selection wipe out this genetic glitch immediately? Evolutionary biologists offer two primary explanations. The first explanation involves geography and sunlight. As ancient humans migrated northward into cold, cloudy European climates, intense equatorial sunlight was no longer a daily threat. High levels of melanin were no longer strictly necessary for eye protection. When a trait is no longer essential for survival, evolutionary pressure relaxes, allowing random mutations to persist without penalty. The second explanation is far more human: sexual selection. When a trait is extremely rare and visually striking, it catches attention. In small prehistoric communities where everyone looked similar, an individual with a bright, novel eye color stood out immediately. If potential mates found this striking feature desirable or intriguing, blue-eyed individuals may have had more opportunities to reproduce. Novelty became an evolutionary advantage. A simple preference for something visually unique allowed one single ancestral mutation to conquer entire regions of the globe. Is it possible that human beauty standards shifted the entire genetic direction of human history? Think about what this means when you look into the mirror tomorrow morning. If you have blue eyes, you're not just possessing a random color. You're holding a direct physical link to one specific person who lived 8,000 years ago. Every person you pass on the street with blue eyes is your distant cousin. You share the exact same unbroken line of DNA. You share the exact same jammed genetic switch inside your cells. You carry a piece of an ancient, accidental light trick passed from hand to hand across thousands of years. Human history feels vast, endless, and disconnected. Nations build walls between cultures, languages, and borders. Societies pretend they are fundamentally different from one another. Yet a single chemical typo in one forgotten prehistoric infant reshaped the faces of hundreds of millions of living human beings. You're not a disconnected observer standing alone in the present moment. You are the living, walking result of tiny prehistoric moments you will never see. When you look into someone's eyes today, you are not just looking at a stranger. You're looking deep into the eyes of ancient history staring right back at you.